So welcome everybody to our Powered by Snowflake partner panel discussion today. My name is Scott Schilling. I'm Senior Director of Alliances at Snowflake, and I'm joined today by three of our strategic customers who have built innovative solutions on top of the Snowflake platform. So with me today is David Woodhead from BlackRock, Matt Walker from Simon Data, and Augusto Barros from Securonics. So before we jump in, we're here to talk today a bit about building data applications on top of Snowflake. And what we've seen over the last handful of years is more and more customers have discovered the Snowflake platform as an underpinning for powerful data applications that they're building and delivering to end customers. In seeing that phenomenon, we've tried to build a program to support that journey. And that's what Powered by Snowflake is intended to do, is really to help customers as they're designing and architecting these solutions to accelerate that process and help them build better applications faster on top of Snowflake. And then in turn, helping them go to market with those solutions, trying to leverage our combined resources to drive adoption, end customer adoption of these solutions. And along the way, making sure that we're building in best of breed support capabilities, because we understand when your business is running on top of Snowflake, it's super critical that if there are any wrinkles, those get resolved as quickly as possible. So first, I'd like to just invite the three of you to just introduce yourselves briefly and your organization, and then we'll kick things off. So maybe we could start with you, David.
Hey, Scott, great to be here. Happy to join you at the Build Summit. So Dave Woodhead, I'm the head of engineering for Aladdin Studio at BlackRock, where we build the Aladdin Data Cloud powered by Snowflake.
And Matt?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. I'm Matt Walker, the co-founder and CTO at Simon Data. I've spent my entire career as a practitioner of data at scale. And at Simon, we've been using Snowflake for around 3.5 years. So I'm pretty excited to join in the conversation and share what we've learned.
Great. And Augusto?
Augusto Barros, work as a VP cybersecurity evangelist for Securonics, where we deliver what we call a security analytics platform at cloud scale, for many also know as a SIEM.
Terrific. So first of all, thank you to all three of you for investing the time to share your perspectives here. I think it's going to be really valuable for our audience to understand the process that you've gone through, that journey, the things that have been important to you, and what you're looking forward to in the next year or two in driving customer adoption of these solutions. So David, maybe we could start off with you. And could you perhaps describe a little bit about the Aladdin Data Cloud solution and how that runs on Snowflake today, and maybe a bit about the process of re-platforming your solution onto Snowflake? In some of our prior conversations, I know, or I understand that time to market was really critically important for you.
I think it always is. Yeah, sure, Scott. I'm happy to jump into that. I think first, it may be helpful for me to give a little bit of context about what Aladdin and Aladdin Data Cloud are. So you can think of Aladdin as the operating system for asset managers. Aladdin is at the heart of BlackRock's investment process, as well as the investment process for our clients that are global financial institutions. Since its beginning, 3 decades long, we've been on a journey to put data at the heart of the investment management process through Aladdin. And if you roll the clock back to where we ended 2020, we had launched a successful commercial data warehouse program. We acknowledged that we had a differentiated data set, but we were held back because our platform was a legacy data platform and it was hosted on-premise in our data centers. So we had a differentiated data product, but we had no way of leveraging that and getting that out at scale to our clients. So we began thinking, what would an industry-leading financial data platform look like? What kind of capabilities would it have? We knew it had to be cloud scale. We knew it had to be a data ecosystem where our clients could bring in data from multiple different parties, use them together in one platform. We knew it had to run on the best technology stack. But the most important thing is it had to live where our clients lived. It didn't matter which region it was, which cloud provider they lived on. We had to be able to deliver the data platform to them. So cohesively, that was the Aladdin Data Cloud product that we came up with, and ultimately we're able to deliver through the Powered by Snowflake program. So you mentioned time to market was key. We ideated the Aladdin Data Cloud in late 2020. We started writing code in January 2021. We knew that to hit our commercial objectives, we had to have a product in market by August this year. So we had a 7 to 8 month window to go from a legacy on-prem platform to the cloud-based platform that we knew were going to power our clients' use cases going forward. It is in no way, well, first of all, we succeeded. So we have 2 clients live as of the first week in August. BlackRock is one of them. So it is in no way an overstatement to say we just couldn't have delivered with that kind of velocity without the partnership and the Powered by Snowflake program.
That's terrific. That's great to hear. And congratulations on your recent go live. We're looking forward to lots and lots of additional customers coming on board in the next several months. So Augusto, maybe we could turn to you. Could you tell us a little bit about the Securonics solution, and then we can talk a little bit about your unique architecture as well?
Yeah, sure. Our solution has been around for some time, right? And it always provided its own data backend. We always use open data formats and platforms such as Hadoop, right? Try to minimize the impact of keeping security data on its own silo, right? But still, kind of most customers we would work with, for them, it's just kind of another data repository that they have to keep track and maintain, right? So almost all security solutions, kind of for security monitoring in the market, will have that same characteristic. Kind of they have that silo of data that many organizations will always kind of keep looking at it and say, oh, I wonder, right, if we could have that as part of our overall data management or kind of data architecture. I think with the emergence of solutions, especially kind of with Snowflake, we see more and more these organizations thinking about leveraging a platform like this to remove the barrier, right, and avoiding the creation of that new security silo. And we've seen some organizations trying to do a kind of a do-it-yourself project and use these more general data purpose platforms for security use cases, but they always end up stumbling with the challenges on kind of how you ingest data for a security use case, how do you enrich it properly, how you apply the security analytics, what you should be looking for into all that data. And that's kind of our core skills, right? Kind of the core value of our platform, right? So kind of they end up kind of abandoning all that value, right? By trying to leverage kind of general purpose data management platforms. With our approach with Snowflake, we're now able to offer the best of both worlds, right? So we are now offering all that security know-how, kind of how to handle the data, how to ingest it, how to enrich it, how to format it so that it'll be valuable for security. We offer the analytics, so what to look for into that data. And we can also leverage a data platform that they are already using for a lot of other things in their organization. And they want to have the data open and available for everything else that they may want to do in the future, even bringing other tools to expand their security use cases. So that's essentially, right, kind of for us is being able to give to provide the best of both worlds.
That's great. That's great. And so you kind of have the multiple options there from an architecture perspective, delivering as a service or, directly addressing your end customer's Snowflake environment. So the data kind of remains within their Snowflake instance as well. That's really an innovative approach. And I think we're going to see other companies looking at that angle if it fits their use case as well. So Matt, maybe you could give us a brief description of what Simon Data is doing and what the application is that you've built on top of Snowflake. And then we can talk a little bit about looking forward. Your organization is just kind of coming into the fold into the Powered by Snowflake program. And from your perspective, what do you think will be important looking forward to get out of that program, whether that's more technical or more go-to-market or kind of a mix?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so what we've built is a customer data platform that has an integrated marketing cloud, and we call that combination a smart hub. So we integrate customer data from behavioral event streams, from data warehouses like Snowflake, from first-party vendors, and the whole point of it is to produce a unified customer profile. And that profile is then fed into segmentation and downstream into the smart hub for campaign orchestration, cross-channel marketing coordination. And we're using marketing channels like email, push notifications, SMS, custom audience products, webhooks, data feeds, and a lot more. And really the primary differentiator there is the data layer that underlies the smart hub. And Snowflake is a critical component of the architecture. In terms of what we're excited about in Powered by Snowflake, there's several reasons, but primarily we want to get to interact more closely with Snowflake developers. Our organization has built up quite a bit of expertise with Snowflake over the years, so we're really excited to participate in workshops, roadmap discussions, and to actually collaborate directly with the Snowflake engineers when we're designing and architecting future products as well. And I mean, we already collaborate with several vendors in a very interactive shared Slack channel kind of way. So we're looking forward to establishing that kind of relationship with support engineers at Snowflake, because we take operating Simon very seriously, and we think that that's going to enhance our capabilities there. And then, of course, I'm speaking from an engineering point of view right now, but the business at large is really excited to partner with Snowflake and jointly go to market. And we're very convicted that Simon can unlock potential in data for marketers, and Snowflake's a critical part of that process.
That's great. Thank you. That's really what we're intending to do, is to pivot some of these relationships towards a strategic partnership rather than just supplying an underlying platform, figuring out, okay, how can we really truly effectively combine resources to be collectively more effective in driving customer adoption of your solutions. So David, maybe we can turn back to you for a minute. Of course, the Aladdin Data Cloud use case inherently involves cross-organizational data access. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about how data sharing fits into the puzzle for you guys and your customers.
For sure. I'm going to risk a cliche at a Snowflake Summit. So I'm going to say that data and AI are changing the way that we do business, right? It's a cliche, but it's a reality of the world that we live in. So increasingly, we see the Aladdin product evolving into much more of a platform. It's a platform where people come to innovate, to build, to configure, to process their own workloads. And essentially, you can think of that platform as having three pieces. At the heart of it, we have this Aladdin OS, our years-old investment management platform. You have the Aladdin Data Cloud, where Snowflake democratizes data, makes it available to everybody. You layer on top of that a scalable compute platform with a capable set of development tools. So I don't think it's unique to finance that when you expose your capabilities as APIs, as business services, you democratize data through a capable data platform and you layer on first-class development tools. It's not a surprise that that unlocks a massive amount of innovation, but it also brings into the ecosystem a new persona that we hadn't seen before. So we call them the citizen developers, citizen scientists. And to give you a sense of scale, at BlackRock, we have over 1,000 individual citizen developers building models, building content, running analytics on top of this combined platform. Now, the reason that I bring that up is we know, because they're in a governed ecosystem, we know what data they're consuming. And we know that more than 70% of the use cases that are built on our platform require data from multiple different domains. Take the simplest example, a portfolio manager that wants to value their portfolio versus the latest environmental, social governance metrics. You're bringing together data from the Aladdin domain alongside data that's coming from our market data partners. Essentially, what Snowflake has done is it has let us build a data mesh to power all of those citizen developers, where we can deliver into that mesh. We can own, deliver, and govern the Aladdin content while we invite third parties like fund accountants or market data providers to do the same. When clients are themselves enterprise Snowflake customers, we can then share that entire ecosystem of data directly into their data platform. And if they choose to, they can share their enterprise data right back into the data cloud. None of that would be possible without data sharing in Snowflake. And one final wrinkle, we as BlackRock are obviously data producers. And we're just starting to think about the possibilities of how data sharing can help us deliver content much faster, provide much more value to our clients through the data sharing capabilities of the platform.
That's terrific. Thank you. That's really interesting. The unfolding of the data mesh and enabling, this somewhat new persona of the citizen developer. Matt, you and I had also had conversations about how data sharing or cross-organizational data access fit into the Simon data strategy. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I think the emphasis for us is less in creating a mesh and more in creating a bidirectional share with each of our individual accounts. But that's a really critical feature for the way that we work, where we're integrated to upstream data sources and downstream marketing channels. So, I mean, on the ingestion side, we're directly connecting into client Snowflake instances. And in some cases, we're directly executing queries there and pulling the results back into our own data processing fabric. But in other cases, we're establishing a data share and pulling data from there into our own internal instance. And the critical capability there is the flexibility to either take advantage of work that's already been done by the client upstream, and that really helps us ensure consistency between their data model and Simon's, or if they haven't made that investment yet, then we can supply our own ELT to shape the data up for them. And then on the outbound side, we're capable of publishing data at any stage in our data pipeline into a share that we can share with the client. So that means if they need access to raw event tables, we can expose those directly. Or if they need aggregated customer profiles, we can share those instead. Or they might plug in at the end of our pipeline to take advantage of carefully curated reporting data, which lets us offload this into their own advanced analytics and data science applications downstream. So that really enables Simon to focus on the core data processing and marketing applications, while we don't actually block the end user from deeply integrating the data that we curate into data flows that extend beyond marketing use cases for them.
Yeah, that's terrific. It sounds like a pretty innovative use case for that bi-directional data share. And it sounds like on both sides, on the Simon data side and the end customer side, you're removing some of the heavy lifting work or the non-value added work and able to focus much more on the real task at hand, which is really discovering or uncovering insights from the data that you have available. Augusto, maybe we could turn to you for a minute. And you and I have talked a little bit about the Securonics go-to-market strategy, and both in the SaaS model and that more direct deployment architecture. Can you talk a little bit about why you think it's significant for Securonics to be well aligned or have good alignment between your sales force and the Snowflake sales force when it comes to trying to land that solution in a client environment?
Sure. I would say kind of the accounts where the sales teams kind of from Snowflake are already there, those are really kind of our focus, right? With this partnership, kind of because those organizations are already realizing the value of the Snowflake platform for many other use cases. And kind of many times when they're expanding the usage of that platform, they are also looking for opportunities to expand kind of the utilization even more, right? Kind of now kind of they have this solution that is giving them so much value, they end up kind of almost kind of in that active mode of looking for other opportunities inside to consolidate, to centralize the management of data, because all that will increase their overall return of value for Snowflake. And for many of those organizations, at the same time or simultaneously, they have a security team that is facing limitations from the platform that they are using today. Right? If you look at most organizations out there, they have a separate silo for the security data. And they are having to deal with kind of many limitations, performance, cost issues with those platforms. So now we are talking about organizations that have this splendid platform that can solve all those issues, right? And a perfect use case for that, right? So kind of when we have the sales teams working together, we have sales teams that have the direct contact with the owners of the use case and the owners of the platform that can really solve or help address the use case, right? But putting our sales team together with the Snowflake team, we end up finding those sweet spots where we have people looking for a new security solution, those things that we know how to fix. And they are also already using a platform that can really help address that in the most optimized manner. So working together with the sales team from Snowflake has really brought us many opportunities for those organizations that are in the sweet spot to get that solution that we were building together.
That's great. And one of the biggest elements of the Powered by Snowflake program is us figuring out better ways to capture the essence and the use case and your solution and all the integration points, and making sure we're arming our global sales force with that information so that when they uncover a joint opportunity, they understand it and they're able to act quickly upon it. David, I know just having a little more direct experience with the BlackRock go-to-market, I imagine that alignment between the BlackRock client relationship organization and the Snowflake teams servicing the same accounts is also important for you and the Aladdin Data Cloud launch.
For sure. Yeah, I was nodding along there with Augusto. That really resonated. What became immediately apparent to us working with Snowflake is the value system at Snowflake and BlackRock were very much aligned. everything's about delivering value for clients. And what was interesting is presenting a unified story to our clients, where our clients are very comfortable with the Aladdin operating system. They know that can power their investment platform. They're very comfortable with Snowflake as a sophisticated data analytics platform. Having a unified front where we're bringing the best of both into one room, and we have our clients' data experts, their investment operations, and their quants all talking together and saying, yes, this solves my problem. It's really changed the way that we talk to clients, but it's also changed the outcomes of those conversations. So totally agree with that.
That's terrific. Yeah, that's we're trying to drive more and more of that and get better and better at that coordination, so that we show up shoulder to shoulder with one another, and we're in a better position to answer customer questions quickly and get things resolved and implemented in as short a period of time as possible. So Matt, I wanted to turn back to you quickly. As I understand it, the Simon Data solution is all about your end customers capturing, understanding, and acting upon consumer signals or signals from your customers' customers. And given that, can you talk a little bit about how important the scalability of the platform is for you, and some of the interesting things you guys have done on top of the platform to really address that?
Yeah, getting to jump into some interesting technical detail here, but definitely the scalability is totally vital to our product functionality in many senses of the word scalable. And there's the most traditional kind of high throughput query kind of notion of it. And we use Snowflake as ELT and aggregation internally upon both customer data sets and behavioral data sets, and it scales very nicely there. There's also the sense of low latency queries, and we found that Snowflake can perform even against those real-time messaging sort of scenarios. So we built an event connector that's specific to Snowflake that powers what we call database triggers and lets us fire off behaviorally targeted messaging in our existing real-time campaign pipeline from the results of a Snowflake query. But lastly, there's the topic that we've already discussed, which is time to value. And what we've found there is that Snowflake's scalable performance means we don't really need to build out complex layered caching for products like our unified contact view. Instead, what we did was we clustered events by contact identifier and allowed us to micro partition these by contact query. And so we were able to get response times down to where they needed to be user facing, even when we were scanning up to 3 years of data for each of the contacts. So that really meant that we got the product out into market very quickly, and we're able to shift our valuable product development resources elsewhere.
Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you. I'm going to turn it to a slightly more open-ended question. I'm not entirely clear where the answers will go here, but obviously all of you have made a huge effort to be a cloud-first organization, deliver your solutions via a cloud platform. I'm curious each of your perspectives on, how important is it to you to operate on a platform that is multi-cloud, and how does that fit into your long-term strategy? So maybe we could start with you, Augusto.
I love this question because in a couple of events during this year, I addressed the problem of multi-cloud, right? And I think that with Snowflake, our solution now is in another level in being able to handle that. Because normally when I start talking about multi-cloud, they say, well, the best thing you can do in terms of multi-cloud is not do it, right? Because right, it's really a very hard problem to address, right? In multiple levels, right? From managing IT infrastructure to managing the platform level to everything else, right? Even from a cost management perspective, right? But believe that as we evolve with cloud utilization, it'll be every day harder for you to just choose to put everything in a single bucket. Even because you may try to concentrate everything in AWS, for example, but then you have a SaaS solution that will be hosted in GCP, right? And then you end up being multi-cloud because you selected a SaaS solution that happens to be running somewhere else. So we end up seeing organizations without that option, right, to not be multi-cloud, right? So now we have the systems running everywhere, right? And from a security perspective, we need to collect security telemetry from all those places and being able to provide to our customer a single pane of glass, right? Or a single analytics solution that can ingest telemetry from all those cloud environments. And kind of, I think today, when you look at our major competitors, many of them are still struggling to do cloud monitoring well. And some of them, right? And if I can mention Microsoft, for example, they're deeply rooted in just one single cloud platform. So for us, being able to deploy across all the major cloud platforms and leveraging kind of Snowflake as a way to really kind of address that very well, it ends up being a very strong strategic advantage. So I think that's really, really important. It's critical for us from a strategic perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting. David, Matt, any comments in that regard?
Yeah, I thought we'd probably be the anomaly here, but we're actually deployed only in AWS. And so in terms of deploying our platform, it's not a top priority for us. But of course, we work with clients that are deployed across all the major cloud providers. And really, Snowflake's ability to bridge across them is completely, it's a total advantage for us, especially with bidirectional data sharing that I mentioned earlier. It gives us a seamless way to integrate across the different providers. So we work with a major airline brand that's hosted in Azure, but then we use data shares, both to pull the customer data in on the upstream and to share the refined marketing data outward across the clouds.
From an Aladdin perspective, I think multi-cloud has been a requirement since day one. We've had a data warehouse product built on-prem. I have spent hours and hours with clients trying to convince them that connecting over whatever line they had to a distant data source was a great product. And as soon as you start having that conversation, you've lost. You're offering a data platform to your clients, and they're saying, I work here, my home is here, you need to deliver this platform here, or it's not going to be effective for me. And the challenge that we have is, Aladdin is being positioned on Microsoft Azure. We won our data stack right next to Aladdin. We won high bandwidth, low latency connection from the data cloud to Aladdin so that our workloads in Aladdin are first class. So let's say that Aladdin is hosted in Azure East in the US, and our client, their home is Dublin in AWS. With Snowflake, and when you have this conversation with the client, there is a light that goes off. Through configuration, I can start replicating data into your AWS in Dublin. And if you have your own Snowflake, I can then data share that right into your own account. That's a transformative conversation. So for us, being multi-cloud was a requirement from day one.
That's terrific. I know we've run into some of those very direct conversations with BlackRock clients and sorting out, really explaining that to folks. You do see that light go off in their head, like, oh, okay, wait a minute. We can, and in some cases, we've got to add a deployment to our roadmap. In some cases, we're already in that region, but unlocking that pathway really makes a huge difference in the end customer experience. So I'm glad to hear you say that, David. Okay, so I think we're about at time here. I want to, first of all, thank all three of you for participating in this panel. It's been really valuable for me to hear your perspectives, and I think it will be super valuable for our audience at the Build conference. And I also want to say, Snowflake remains really committed to building out this program. We're at the early stages with Powered by Snowflake. We're learning along with you guys, like what's required, what would be helpful, what benefits are going to help you in the design and architecture phase. What are the components that are going to be really important when it comes to support or when it comes to joint go-to-market? But I think you have my commitment and the commitment of our leadership team that we're going to continue to invest here and continue to expand out the program elements so that we're doing everything humanly possible to make you and customers like you wildly successful with the offerings that you're bringing to market on top of the Snowflake platform that really leverage the unique capabilities of the data cloud. So I really look forward to seeing how this unfolds over the course of the next couple of quarters and the couple of years. And thank you once again for your business and your support in having this conversation.